Another politician of Chinese descent is making her mark. Grace Meng is a representative of the U.S. Congress. She's the first Asian American member of the legislative body from the state of New York. She sat down with CCTV anchor Michelle Makori and talked about how she's using her experience as a Chinese American to influence politics.
As children of immigrants growing up in New York City, our parents and our grandparents have struggled so much to survive and to earn a living and to make sure that their children get the best opportunity, especially in terms of education, that they can. And so the last thing on people's minds are whether they're going to run for office and, what they're going to do in a political sense. And so I think that, after the next few decades and as generations become more assimilated into New York and American culture, I think that we'll see more people running for office.
Now, beyond New York, you've also introduced a measure in Congress asking for the Lunar New Year to be recognized, and tremendous progress has been made there. Where does that stand at the moment?
I introduced a resolution to promote and to recognize Asian Lunar New Year across the country. We're very excited to report that it has passed through the United States Senate and hopefully will pass through our side on the House as well. And basically, this was just to send the same message that what could be done here in New York City can also be done in many cities across the country. The legislation basically is symbolic. It encourages school districts which have a large Asian American population to seriously consider closing. Obviously, we're not going to ask every school district in the country to do this. But if you have a significant Asian American population, it's definitely something that you should consider.
Well, you were born in Queens. You have an American passport. You speak English. How Chinese do you consider yourself to be?
Well, I think that was something that I tried to remind a lot of my constituents also is that, we're all American and we're all blessed to be a part of this country. I speak fluent Mandarin as well, and I'm proud. I would want to speak as many languages that I could. And so I don't necessarily define it as a black and white, cultural divide.
There are a number of Chinese stereotypes. Which ones do you think are the most important to dispel?
When you see someone of Chinese American descent, people often automatically assume that you're a foreigner and that you're not necessarily patriotic or love America. And I think that that's something that we want to desperately dispel because Asian Americans are the fastest growing community throughout the country. And there are so many of us who are born here, so many of immigrants who have come here and have really grown to love America and want to give back to their country in every way they can.
Well, you mentioned these immigrants that came to the U.S., like your family, to come and pursue the American dream, something that you have certainly succeeded at. Now the notion of the Chinese dream is really flourishing. Do you think that now that the Chinese dream has proven to be a viability with the likes of Jack Ma from Alibaba, for example, do you think that that is going to perhaps reduce the number of Chinese immigrants coming to the U.S.?
I don't think so. I think that part of the Chinese dream is also to achieve the American dream. I always want people to know that, Chinese Americans have a very diverse array of dreams and hopes, and whatever field that they decide to go into, politics is definitely not one of the most popular ones, but, to do your best.